Have you ever noticed how eating less can feel strangely calming? Like you sit down, take a few bites, stop early, and instead of panic, you feel relief, almost like you dodged something. Meanwhile, eating a normal amount, whatever that even means, can feel risky, loud, exposed. You're suddenly aware of your body, your choices, the moment. And some quiet part of your mind whispers, "This is dangerous." If that reaction sounds familiar, yeah, this might be about you or someone you know who insists they're just not that hungry, even when clearly they are. Because here's the twist. For a lot of people, eating less isn't about discipline, it's about safety. And once you see the psychology behind it, you start noticing it everywhere, including in yourself. Let's start with the first type. This is the person who feels safest when they're slightly hungry, not starving, not miserable, just light, controlled, a little empty. Picture someone leaving a meal before they're full. They're calm, focused, almost clear-headed. Hunger, for them, doesn't feel like a problem, it feels like proof that nothing got out of hand. Psychologically, this happens when hunger becomes a signal of control, when being not quite full feels predictable, measurable, clean. Fullness, on the other hand, is vague, hard to define. Did I eat too much? Was that necessary? Did I lose control? So the body learns a shortcut. Hunger equals safety. Fullness equals uncertainty. And maybe as you're hearing this, you're realizing you don't actually enjoy being hungry, but you trust it more than being full. Then there's another type, the person who treats eating like a quiet moral test. They don't say it out loud, they don't judge other people, but inside there's a subtle scorecard. A small meal feels good, a normal meal feels suspicious. This often starts in environments where food choices were noticed, commented on, remembered, where eating less earned approval, even subtle approval. A raised eyebrow, wow, you're so disciplined, a casual compliment that sticks longer than it should. Over time, eating less stops being a preference and starts becoming part of identity. I'm the kind of person who doesn't overdo it. So eating normally doesn't just feel physically uncomfortable, it feels emotionally risky, like you're betraying a version of yourself that keeps you safe. And here's the irony. The anxiety isn't about food, it's about who you might become if you stop monitoring yourself. Maybe you recognize that feeling, that tightness when you consider letting go, even a little. Then there's the third type, the person who uses eating less to stay invisible. They don't think of it that way, but food for them is deeply social. Eating more means being seen, taking up space, potentially being noticed. Think of someone who eats quickly, quietly, or alone, who feels oddly exposed at group dinners, who becomes hyper-aware of every bite when others are watching. Eating less becomes a way to shrink the moment, to reduce attention, to pass through without leaving a trace. Psychologically, this often connects to people who learned early on that visibility came with consequences, judgment, commentary, comparison. So the safest version of the self is the smallest one, the least demanding one. And maybe as you're hearing this, you're thinking, it's not that I'm afraid of food, I'm afraid of being observed. That's not weakness, that's adaptation. But here's where it gets more complicated. There's also the person who feels emotionally steadier when they eat less. Not happier, not healthier, just quieter. For them, food doesn't just fill the stomach, it stirs things up. Memories, emotions, sensations. Eating normally can bring a flood of feeling, comfort, guilt, nostalgia, regret, satisfaction, wanting more. Eating less keeps everything muted. This is especially common for people who are deeply introspective, who feel things intensely, who already live a lot inside their own head. Less food means less stimulation, less internal noise. So eating less feels like emotional regulation, not deprivation, containment. And if that resonates, you might realize something uncomfortable. It's not that eating normally feels unsafe because of the body, it feels unsafe because of what it awakens. Now, here's the twist most people miss. Eating less feels safer not because it's better, but because it's familiar. The brain doesn't actually seek health, it seeks predictability. If control, hunger, restraint, or invisibility once helped you feel stable, even briefly, your nervous system remembers that. So when you eat less, your body says, "Oh, this again. I know how to survive here." Eating normally doesn't feel dangerous because it is, it feels dangerous because it's unfamiliar. and unfamiliar sensations often get mislabeled as threats. This is why people can logically understand they're eating enough, but still feel uneasy afterward. The body hasn't caught up to the mind yet. So what do you do with this? Not fix it, not force yourself to eat more or less. Just notice. Notice when eating less feels like relief instead of nourishment. Notice when hunger feels like reassurance. Notice what you're actually protecting yourself from in those moments. Because sometimes the safest thing isn't eating less, it's learning to tolerate fullness, visibility, uncertainty, and that takes time. So I'll leave you with this question. When eating less feels safer, what does safe really mean for you? And which of these patterns felt uncomfortably familiar? If this resonated, stay curious. There's more to uncover, not about food, but about the quiet ways we learn to protect ourselves.